what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Reverse 1999 reaction. Today we have New Humans as requested by Aliyah Aya in the comments of the last video. This one's apparently from version 1.1, so it's like 2 years old now, but apparently is still a banger and probably sounds at least similar to Taxi Jam, given that they said I'd probably like it after hearing that video. So I'm gonna hear this out and see what it has in store, and without further ado, let's go! Oh. Okay. Okay, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. That's a dog. Can I pet that dog? I wish to. Really setting up those jazz vibes, and I love it. Really setting it up. I love their pre-battle approach. Partially because I don't know when it's gonna kick into the actual battle, but also because they're also good at setting the mood. Oh, I mean, that sounded different. That was like mixed different. That might have just been the uploader. Not sure. Woo. I'm loving this guitar in here too. Kind of blending in a little bit of funk in here. Kind of bringing in that fusion, which I always love. They're kind of doing a little bit of everything. That was a little bluesy on the piano there. Also, given that this is a boss, this is very contained, you know? It's very cool and calculated. Might reflect the boss. Unless this dog is the boss. In which case, hell yeah. Oh, here we go. Starting to build up more on the kit. Yeah, there it is. Okay, kicking it in with a little bit more. Not too much, but just enough to keep things interesting, right? Sitting there on the ride bell. Ping, 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 ping. It's got such a good pocket. I like that they're shifting this too. Like double timing it at certain spots. Again, just minor changes. Okay, a little cut there at the end kind of felt weird, but again, I'm assuming that that's the uploader for the transitional bits. Either way, damn, I see why they said I would probably like this one after hearing the last one. Kind of a similar jazzy energy to it, but at the same time, I respect that this one took its time. What do you know about bebop jazz? Because that's the type of jazz this is. It's different from the Manhattan jazz we had last time. I love that I get to talk about jazz so much. It's very rare. So what makes this bebop? Well, the C minor bebop scale is what's being used if I am believing myself correctly here in this guess. Which is just super fun because there's a lot of stuff in there. You can already hear the jazziness just by doing that. This one is basically the core of this entire song, and I'll explain why, of course, but like, man, there's so many things you can do in here, and it's just so bright and moving, and even though there's a few like normal chords in there, there's plenty of other stuff that's just very crunchy, like that, which is like, ooh, what the hell was that? A blue note, right? Okay, so blue notes. Blue notes in an overview are basically just notes that are lowered from a standard scale, in this case C minor, that make the song sound a little bit different. It's to be less expected than the standard scale would be. So you get a different sound, and that's why they're called blue notes, because they're bluesy. They're different. There's something that's not of the normal standard that we're used to hearing. So this song has a lot of those. One of my favorites in here being when it's doing that, like the main core of that. As I said, I was going to mention how that one chord in here is basically the core of this song. This little bit here, right? It just does that. And I know you've heard that throughout the whole song. It's the core of it, next to the low end, which is basically just this G and this C just bouncing constantly throughout the song. Throughout the song. It's just there always, and that's a very blues thing to do. Just keeping rocking back on one or two bass notes and letting your hand on the other side, in this case would be the right hand, doing whatever the hell you want it to do within the scale. And again, with blue notes being involved and it being a blues scale and having things in there that are a little bit unnatural compared to the standard scales, you can get away with a bunch of shit. That's why things like this work, because that shouldn't work. This one here, right, that's not part of the scale I played earlier. This is a G flat. The notes that are in here go completely around that. It goes C, D, E flat, F, G. You skip right by that one, so it's like, why would that be in there? It doesn't fit in with the rest of it, because you would keep going up the scale as it would be. So this one isn't supposed to be there, but when you throw it in there and you match it in with this, which isn't even like real chord or anything, it's just kind of there. That's a C natural. That's where that jazziness hits in there. But because the scale that we're doing this in doesn't utilize this one, even though this sounds like it fits, that's why you can use a blue note adjustment for it and kind of just play it as an accent, even though the rest of the scale doesn't have it. When you get down to music theory, blues and jazz, just throw music theory out the window. Fuck it. It is irrelevant, frankly, and it's so much fun to play around with, and that's why it's so interesting to listen to. If you in any way are a music nerd, which I'd figure a lot of you are if you're watching my videos, that's one of those things that makes the genres of blues and jazz so interesting and approachable, because it's weird, it's different, a lot like the people who would be interested in it. It's just not normal, quote unquote. You know, it doesn't have to be normal. It's music. The rules are there as guidelines, but they're also meant to be broken, just like in most other cases. And blues and jazz do that constantly. And that's why, even though there is a quote-unquote scale here, the C minor bebop scale, that's not even a standard scale. It's already modified to fit the jazz concept. So why not throw another little blue note in there just to mess with it a little bit? But this song is really fun, even compared to the other one, because while that's also really fun, this one just does a lot more with the blues flavor in general. It has a little bit more flexibility with it, whereas that other song played it a little bit safer, kind of stayed more standard. This one does what blues and jazz would do, what bebop would do as a genre, which is fuck the rules, you know? We're gonna chill, we're gonna have a good time, we're gonna throw in whatever notes we feel like and enjoy ourselves, just, you know, kind of soloing and improvising all over the place and not really keeping to any sort of conformity. I also like how laid back and relaxed this song is. Like, the other one was a little bit more upbeat, and that's kind of natural for Manhattan jazz. There's plenty of slower Manhattan jazz as well, but bebop jazz specifically tends to have a little bit more of like a drag to it, something that's a little bit more lethargic. It kind of pulls you along and kind of like a dude who walks weird on the street. You know, you're like, what the hell? Why is he walking like that? That's bebop in its core as a genre. It's the one that's wearing the weird shoes and walking with like an awkward leg gait, and everyone's like, why does he kind of have the swag of 1,000 men? That's bebop. And this song kind of borrowed everything from that energy. It's just so confident in itself. It's relaxed. It's super enjoyable to listen to. And it also kind of reminds me of Persona's music, because that's also a lot of bebop jazz as well as some other flavors in there. A little bit of fusion in this one as well, just having like the funk elements in there with the guitar and everything, that specific sort of like a whammy guitar, just really sort of wah pedal heavy. Really fun to have that in there, and the kit being like so reserved as well and not utilizing too much of it until we get later into the song, kind of evolving the song alongside it. That was a really nice way to approach that instead of just keeping the exact same thing all the way through. It would have gotten too boring if they had done that, so they kept it fresh from start to finish, from the pre-battle stuff all the way through the second phase. You're like, oh, there's a little bit more, but not too much. It retained itself in not getting lost in the sauce and trying to be something it wasn't. Bebop jazz, like I said, is its own thing. It beats to its own drum. It doesn't give a shit about you or what you're doing. That's the whole approach of bebop, and it's so fun and unapologetically so that it's like, man, I just can't help but sit here and kind of tap my toe and have a good time listening. And I'm really glad I got to talk more about jazz stuff in general, because I'm not a jazz pianist or anything. I am just a dude who teaches himself stuff, and that's where my music theory knowledge comes from. If any of you are professionals and you noticed anything wrong with what I said, please tell me. I'm just a drummer. That's all I know how to do, and I can't even do jazz all that well on that. I can get past a swing, right? Like I'm vibing, but that's exactly what bebop do be, and I do be feeling it. And hopefully you felt this video, because I enjoyed the shit out of recording this one just because I was so giddy to be able to mess around in a bebop scale and try to figure things out and like, oh, why doesn't that work there? Where was that one note? Why did it sound like that? And try to break it down for all of you. So if you enjoyed that and you want me to get to another song from Reverse 1999, by all means, drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. But if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!